Welcome back to Veterans Forum, a program by veterans, about veterans, for veterans and their families. I'm your co-host, Bob West, with Ray Chattery and Jerry Devlin. Our goal is to provide you and your family with important information by interviewing leaders in our community and providing you with the information on legislation, benefits, support, and programs available to you. Jerry, who do we have with us today?
We're really happy and honored to have the veteran with us. We've been doing these shows for a long time, and we've had a lot of veterans have, of course, appeared before us. But tonight we have a unique veteran, retired Chief Warrant Officer number 5, Betty Brown, began her career with the Marine Corps, and then she joined the D.C. National Guard, and then she joined the D.C. Army National Guard, and served with the 67th Military Police Company. She also briefly served with the United States Navy, so that our guest tonight is a veteran of the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, which is simply remarkable. And she's had an unusual military career and a very successful civilian one. If I could take a couple of minutes, I'd just like to read some of her citations and awards. Chief Warrant Officer Brown has earned the Meritorious Service Medal with Silver Oak Leaf Cluster, Army Commendation Medal with Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster, Air Force Commendation Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Army Achievement Medal with Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster, Reserve Component Achievement Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Combat Readiness Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, Air Force Meritorious Service Medal with Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster, the United States Marine Corps Good Conduct Ribbon, the National Defense Service Medal with a Bronze Star, the Southwest Asia Medal with 2 Bronze Stars, the Air Force Longevity Service Ribbon with Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster, Air Force Reserve Medal with M Device and Silver Hourglass, NCO Development Ribbon, the Army Service Ribbon, the Armed Forces Reserve Overseas Training Ribbon, the Kuwait Liberation Medal, the Kuwait Liberation Medal Army Lapel Button, Presidential Unit Citation, a Meritorious Unit Commendation Medal, District of Columbia Commanding General Outstanding Unit Award, and she's been awarded by Maryland by the D.C. National Guard Faithful Service, the Meritorious Service Medal, D.C. National Guard Emergency Service, the D.C. National Guard Community Service Ribbon. I think somehow I have to think back to General MacArthur, who has more different decorations and awards. Chief Warrant Officer Brown is a retired Federal Service senior management official, and where she earned a whole group of awards, which I won't take your time and read, but they're impressive. She has a BS in Technology and Management Behavior Service, a Master of Science Administration, and a PhD in Religious Studies. She holds the Chief of Information Officer, Project Manager, and Executive Management certification. And she's also a member from the Heart Church Ministries, a very remarkable, unbelievable experience. We're really happy to have with us the number 3 person in the Maryland Disabled Veterans Departmental Organization, Chief Warrant Officer Betty Brown.
Welcome, Betty.
Thank you.
Out of all those awards, I think the hardest one was the Good Conduct Medal. That's a tough one.
Level.
That's a real tough one to get. Yeah. But certainly welcome. And it's especially gratifying to see a woman veteran, as we've always been trying to get more women veterans involved in not only the service organizations, but generally involved in all of our programs. And as you're aware, there are programs not only just for veterans, but also for their families. So Betty, why don't you tell us a little bit about your going through the chairs here at the DAV and how we might inspire other women to join the service organizations.
I would love to see every woman in the organization and those that are veterans join DAV and go through the chairs. I think the only reason I'm the only female currently going through the chairs, and understand there's only been one before me that made commander, and that was back in the early 80s or early 90s?
Early 90s.
Early 90s. So I'm a bit overwhelmed by it, but at the same time, I'm trying to encourage other women within the DAV to join the chairs.
How did you find out about the DAV?
I found out about the DAV quite by accident. Someone said, go down to I Street and fill out your application, your claim requirements. And when I went down, it was DAV, not VA. I thought it was VA, but it was DAV. And then talking to the NSO there, we talked, and he said, perhaps you should join the DAV. I said, okay, and I did. Got into the DAV. I'm in Chapter 4, which is in Wheaton, Maryland. I'm currently the commander for Chapter 4, which I enjoy. And when I started, there were about 3 women coming. Now there are no women, so come, you guys. We need you. Then I joined the, I got online, which was really a surprise because I'm not that well known, and I just thought I'll try it, see what happens, and maybe I'll get kicked off or not even picked up, and I got picked up, which was really a surprise that I got the vote to come in.
And what is the job of the junior vice commander?
Do everything the commander doesn't want you to know. That's not true. No, currently as a junior vice, we have 20 chapters of DAV in the state of Maryland, and each junior vice is assigned 5 chapters. We visit the chapters, we oversee the chapters, we check the administrative, how well we conform to the policies and guidelines sent out by national and department. We also do training, so we do claims. We help the national officers, national service officers, when they do their training. We go out on the visits so that when people come in, we can talk to them before they actually see the national service officer. We visit the hospitals. We make donations to different veteran programs or to veterans. It's a whole gamut of things that we do to assist the veteran and their families.
Is post number 7 in your area of jurisdiction?
It was last year, not this year. It was last year. Oh, I'm sorry, you are this year. Yes. Post 7 is.
Oh,
Post
okay.
7 is.
Chapter 7.
Chapter 7 is, yes.
Okay.
It's chapter.
Chapter
Post,
7.
Chapter 7,
Okay.
yes
post
it is.
the
VFW. Okay.
Yes it is.
All right. And you know that both Ray and Jerry, went through the chairs at the at
I
the
know, I'm
DAV.
in good hands.
Yes, yes. So, do you have certain goals that you have to meet as the junior vice commander each year, or how does that work?
Well, there are certain requirements. Ray probably can talk to them more than I can, but
Well, I would like to say, Betty is the first junior vice commander. She worked her way up from 4th to 3rd to 2nd. Now she's first junior vice commander. Next year she'll be senior vice commander. She'll be in charge of all the junior vice commanders. And then in 2018, hopefully you will be the department commander, and we're looking forward to that.
he said, I will be. There's a process that we must go through.
Called an election.
Called an election, so
Right.
nothing is for
But
certain.
from what I've heard and everybody's talking, I think that Ray's prediction is a pretty solid one.
Right.
I want to give a little plug. The women veterans at the Marine Corps League at the national level in the last 10 years has had 2 women national commandants, and of the last 4 Marines of the year, 2 have been women. This year in Scottsdale, Arizona, the National Convention, Leanna Dietrich of Pennsylvania was named as Outstanding Marine of the Year, and she is also was head of the crazies part of the Marine Corps League, the Military Order of the Devil Dogs. She was the outgoing chief devil dog, which is the fun and supposedly honor society, but fun.
Right.
It's the devil dogs is, if you're a Mason, they're to what the Shriners are to the Masons, well, or the 40 and 8 to the American Legion, or the trench
Cooties.
rats, cooties. Yeah.
For the VFW.
But anyway, so we're once again, Ray, we've got you, Bob, we've got you outnumbered. We Marines are leading the way.
Yeah, I believe that as far as the VFW is concerned, our quartermaster is a female, but we don't have anybody else that seems to be going through
Well,
the
wasn't
chairs.
Megan Bogley at the local level? She was commander.
She wasn't our commander yet,
Yet.
but she is a junior
Yeah.
vice commander.
And
So
she's
hopefully
a very
she'll be.
distinguished.
But she's still on active duty.
She's a
so
lieutenant colonel in the
Ooh, she's
on
very
active duty.
distinguished.
Yes.
Yep.
And she's a Bowie High grad, class of '90.
Yeah,
We're going to get Megan to be here as a guest sometime.
sure.
But as I say, Betty's doing a fantastic job. In fact, just a couple Saturdays ago, I met you and let you in at the DAV to do membership.
Right.
Talk about the membership for a little bit.
There are certain things. Membership, I guess, everywhere now, it's hard to recruit. Recruiting seems to be very, very hard for all of the services and all organizations. But we were here trying to we have members that are life members, meaning they've paid their dues through life, and they're in what we call a Chapter 6. They don't attend meetings. They haven't been assigned to a chapter. So last week or 2 weeks ago, our goal was to come in and locate those members, put them in a chapter that's close to them, send out a letter requesting them or inviting them to come out and be a part of the chapter that's closest to their resident. So we're hoping that we can get 100% of those that are in the Maryland area in, because not only by them being in a chapter, they know what's going on in the VA, they know what's happening with claims, they know the changes. Family members are involved, so that if a spouse died, may it be male or female, if they're in a chapter, we're right there to help them and help them do the paperwork for the widow. But now, a lot of people, we don't know what's going on with them, but we want them in. We want them to enjoy the benefits of what the DAV has to offer.
Yeah, we've aggressively sought minority group members and women that, you know, this, and especially in Prince George's County, where we have so many. We have the largest number of veterans, and I bet we have the largest number of female veterans too. We certainly have an awful lot, and the door is always open. And sometimes women are a little leery of coming alone. Well, bring 3 or 4 friends with you. You know, the door is open, and it's a good, very, very practical. I mean, everybody who's ever served in the military should join the DAV. Sure. There are benefits out there you may not even thought of, and we take the service officer role so seriously. You may find that we've had people who joined the DAV because at the local level it's kind of a Marine Corps League meeting on a separate night. All the officers but one are usually Marines, and he joined with that reason and ended up, what, a 50% disability.
Right.
And you know, his serious injury, they traced it to his military service, and he hadn't. So it's very practical and very valuable.
I think it's very practical because it's another social group. And it's hard to talk to someone that hasn't been in the military about what happened and what goes on in the military. Everyone has an idea, but those of us that are in, when I was in Iraq, and my sister, I had a Iraq return party at my home, and my sister said, "I never hear you talk about these things." And I'm like, "You don't understand what I'm talking about." With a group of us, she said, "I learned more of what happened listening to you guys than I did in trying to pull information out of you." So it's a social group, it's a way of release, it's a comfort, it's what you need. And everybody needs a veteran organization.
And the Department of Maryland is kind of a social laboratory that everybody in Maryland, everyone in the United States could emulate. The diversity is remarkable. A majority of our officers are African American, this is at the state level. And the politics, they never break into groups. African Americans get elected with white support, and white guys get elected with African American support. And all we care about is, like they say in the Marine Corps, the only color that's important is green. But come to a state DAV meeting, and you'll see the America that we should try to all be like. It's a remarkable, remarkable organization.
It really is.
One thing is the DAV, we're fortunate here in Bowie where we have the only DAV chapter home. And female veterans, all veterans are welcome to come to the DAV chapter home. We will explain membership to you. If you've been in combat, you're eligible for VFW and DAV. If you've been in the Marine Corps, you've been in the Marine Corps League, or you can become if you're not a Marine, you can become an associate member of the Marine Corps League. We have a lot of people who like Marines, but they weren't eligible, and they could join the Marine Corps League. And one thing that a lot of people don't realize, and I think we discussed this last month, you don't have to have a combat injury to be eligible for the DAV. If you were injured or even sick or hospitalized while you were on active duty, you are eligible to be in the DAV. And to go one step further, if you served with any of the armed forces that supported, like the Australian, the French,
and my pals in the Royal Marines.
The Royal Marines, they're eligible for the DAV because they supported America on their certain fronts. So as you can see, we're very diverse in our membership. And another thing, we don't have annual members. When you sign up, you become a part-life member, and you can sign up full-time, depending on your age of how it is. If you're 80 or over, it's free.
Right.
So any of the veterans out there that are listening to this, if you're 80 years old, come and see me, and we will sign you up, and you get a free lifetime membership.
I should have waited.
One other thing I'd like to add is
Oh, to
that
be 80 again.
most people don't realize that being a veteran means that you served in some form of military service. Most people think being a veteran means that you retired. You spent at least 20 years and retired. That's not so. You spent a year, you spent 6 months, 2 years, and you're out of the Marine Corps. I mean, I'm thinking the Marine Corps is the only service
You're
here.
right.
But
Surrounded.
you're out of the military, and you got at least an honorable discharge. You are a veteran.
Now, you told us how you got involved with the DAV, actually kind of stumbling toward the VA, and you got to the DAV.
Yeah.
Do you talk, or when you talk, I should say, to other female veterans, trying to get them involved? What seems to be their reaction?
Most of them say, well, it's at night. I don't know anybody. You know me. There are reasons, but the reasons are concrete reasons. Either they will come, say they're going to sign up, and don't sign up. I'm really not sure why women don't sign up, and I think it's because they think it's an all-male world. But it's definitely not. It's definitely
Not the DAV.
no, not in the DAV.
That's the biggest impression that
And
we
then
get.
the hardest
too.
thing in all veterans organizations is getting the person who comes to one meeting to come back again. Because sometimes we ignore the new people and they come and they sit there and nobody talks to them and they go home and just don't.
Or they don't hear anything that pertains to them.
That's right.
If they don't hear something that says, oh, well, somebody says, like every October, and I'm in Chapter 4, Ernie Powell, Wheaton, Maryland. Please come and see me. We meet every Wednesday night at 7, every second Wednesday. We have what you call a Members Appreciation Night. And we have people that are not members to come out and see what we do. We have people come out to talk about claims, health care, and most of the people that come and say, yes, so I had about 3 females to sign up based on annual appreciation night.
And the idea is to hopefully get them
To come to
back.
the meetings, yes.
and see more of what's going on. And it's not just for veterans. Many of the service organizations have also activities and benefits for the community.
Right, for the community and also for the spouse and for the family. When you come to meetings, if you're a spouse or a family member or even a good friend, you find out what's going on in the veteran world because you may be the person that needs to do the paperwork and walk them through what they need to get their claims through or just to assist them in any form or fashion. When people die, maybe the wife is so distraught she can't do anything, but a friend, another family member can step right in and say, well, I went to the meeting, they said this, that, and the other. Not only that, you know who you can call. You don't have to go through the VA system, trying to get through that system. It's like in a maze. But if you pick up the phone and you call a DAV member, they're going to say, hey, what's your name, phone number? I got it. I'll call you back. Tell me what's going on. You get everything they need. When you call them back, we're like a one-stop show. We can do everything for you, and you don't have to do anything but sign the paperwork.
And I'm glad you used the term spouse, because we know a lot of female veterans whose husbands never served.
Never served.
And we would certainly enjoy getting them involved also. Although it's typical, you talk about the ladies' auxiliary, but now there are men's auxiliaries in some of the other
I'm a
organizations.
member of the DAV auxiliary.
One thing they have done in the VFW and the DAV, it's the VFW auxiliary and the DAV. The ladies have been dropped because we have several men members who are eligible, and in the DAV, I'm eligible to join the auxiliary. Jerry already has, you know.
And I'm in the auxiliary.
And you're in the auxiliary.
And also at the national level now, we have a junior vice male at the national level in the auxiliary, and also in Maryland out of Chapter 13. Our gentleman there is the head of he's the commander for the auxiliary. So now it's like females in charge on the DAV side and males on charge on the auxiliary side. So we're equal opportunity.
I understand that. The other thing that we keep hearing from younger veterans is getting communication out to them. They say, we don't know where to find you, because they're always using their smartphones or iPads or whatever. And so we've been trying to do things on Facebook and so forth to get the word out, and but it's still been pretty difficult even to get them to sign up or
It
even
is.
ask about us.
Well, we understand the younger population, they're still in school or going back to school, they're raising families, they're young people married, so their life is a little bit more complicated, say maybe than a retiree. But we are putting our websites out so that if you Google DAV, you can find one, the closest one to your resident. I've set up an email address for my chapter. Most of all the chapters in Maryland now have an email address that once you Google them, you can go out and send an email, and within 24 to 48 hours, someone is responding to you. The website is being revamped so that people can go and look for Maryland DAV. You go to the website, you can find out what's going on, when chapters are meeting, when conventions are occurring. So it's getting a little bit easier, but it's going to take a while because it's two generations apart. You got the young people that like the social media, and you got the folks like us that are young at heart. We like to meet, we like to get together. When a young person can come on a teleconference or Skype or some other type of video conferencing and get the business done.
Now, I know Jerry George is kind of working for the DAV
And Marine Corps League.
and the Marine Corps League doing some of that work.
Fine, yeah, the claim work. They meet every Tuesday from 7 to 9 at the DAV here on 8205 Laurel Bowie Road, our DAV building. And as I say, it's not restricted. You come and ring the bell, say you want to see the service officer. They'll escort you right back to the table. You don't need an appointment. And we have 4 service officers. And we serve. You don't have to be a member of the DAV or any organization to get service corps. We'd like you to join, but it's not a requirement. We're here to help you as a veteran to get your benefits. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize, they're not a bunch of old codgers sitting around the bar swapping sea stories. Really. I mean, we have a purpose, and when you come down to the DAV, it's social. In fact, right now, if you would go down to the bar, I would say that there may even be more women down there than men. We have a very big women population that come in as auxiliary members, spouses, and guests, and of course from the other services also. Mm-hmm. And we welcome them.
And if you are an old codger, there are people who can tell you lies through there too.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to sit at the bar and tell lies, it's up to you. But it's a wonderful, practical organization to join, and it's a good social join. We've had several great social, spectacular events, seafood festivals, both the VFW and the Marine Corps League and the DAV. It's a wonderful organization to join. And even the old codgers at the bar. That our bar is kind of like the neighborhood bar in Cheers. People are there, and it's very friendly, and bad language isn't permitted, and there's almost never any unpleasant incidents, and it's a place where a woman can go and have a beer and know that she's not going to be disturbed or put upon in any way,
The most important thing, though, is to find out about your benefits. You run into so many people who have gone in for 3 years or 4 years, they did their one tour, and they say, well, I came out, nothing happened to me, I'm fine. But there are numerous benefits at federal and state level simply because of your service. And unfortunately, we find out from some people who are now in their 50s and 60s and found out that there were benefits available to them that they were unaware of and could have been enjoying for decades. Yeah, and that's simply another reason simply to stop by, find out what's going on, come to a couple of meetings, and just see what we're all about. And that's true for all the service organizations.
If you're in country in Vietnam, you almost automatically have a benefit.
Oh, absolutely.
10% automatically.
Yeah, with Agent Orange and other things like that.
If you were in country Vietnam, you sign up for the VA, you're automatically 10%.
Then you have things that occur years later. For example, the problem at Camp Lejeune with the dirty water. That was back in the 50s and 60s and maybe the 70s.
That's when we were there.
And I just came before that. But here they have these. They discover that, for example, it's a very unusual male ailment is breast cancer. It's unusual among men, and it's way out of proportion of Marines who served at Camp Lejeune.
And there was a recent article about that they're reaching out to the family members who were on base at that time too, because obviously they were using the water too.
Well, that's one of the problems legislatively. The veterans are entitled to the benefits, but the families aren't. And we'd like to have legislation passed that, that if the Marine Corps is responsible to what happened to it's well, mostly men. I'm sure there were fewer women then, but men primarily. But the families who drank that dirty water down there, and
Yeah, but it's all about, really, it's about you and your benefits, but you have to come out and find out. It's one of those things where you didn't know what you don't know, and if you came to a couple of meetings, we would certainly be able to fill you in on the benefits that you've earned, you and your family members in a lot of cases.
my brother-in-law had a polynidal cyst, and Ed Conroy was up in Massachusetts with me, had been the national commander of the DAV, and he talked George into going down the DAV and talking to a service officer, and George got a fairly substantial pension as a result, which he just thought it was one of those things, and it really related to his Navy service. And that's that just happens over and over again. That's a common occurrence.
And it's important for females because now everyone is finally picking up that females do have issues coming back from war. Even though they say we aren't in combat, we serve right alongside the men. We had females that were military policemen, they were supply people, they were truck drivers, they did everything. But for somehow they weren't classified combat, the men were, but the women were also. And they need an outlet. And more women coming to the DAV. I noticed that when we get together, we have several women in the Maryland DAV, and when we're together, we discuss several of those things. They say, oh, we never talked about that. Well, I didn't know that, because women tend to keep everything within. They don't want anybody to know I'm hurting too, because people somehow look at women as superheroes, but we are human.
Did they get the women's wing up at Baltimore done?
I'm not sure.
Green Street done. They were working on it.
I know they got the one in D.C. done.
Okay.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that on our next show. It's hard to believe, but the time has already gone by. We want to thank you for watching Veterans Forum. Now it's up to you. We ask you to get involved with your local service organizations by stopping by the DAV or the American Legion. Find out what's available to you and your family as a veteran. You could stop by at any time. The posts are open from noon until sometime in the early evening. And if you look at the screen, you're going to see the phone numbers that are available. We want to thank Tom Allen as our director and cameraman. And most importantly, we thank you for watching another version of Veterans Forum, and Betty Brown as the Junior Vice Commander of the Disabled American Veterans for the state of Maryland. Thank you very much.